Hello everyone. So today I wanted to try out something different. This is a slideshow that I created using Slides, which is a really good CLI tool. But the video today is about how and why I use AI in 2024. Now, I like to curate my workflows really carefully by experimenting with stuff and coming up with concrete reasons as to why it deserves to be integrated into my workflow. This has been true of all of the tools I use, be it CLI tools, application, and even games that I play. So, this is my reasoning as to why I use AI the way I do, and if I actually believe that AI will replace programmers and stuff like that. So first things first, I am a disclaimer. I am not an experienced individual. It's been merely 2 or 3 years since I've learned to code. However, I would like to think that a wide range of opinions are necessary for a subject like AI. So these are my thoughts about it. So first things first, this is my opinion and my opinion only. I don't know why I'm putting out so many disclaimers, but there we go. The first up, I rejected AI when it was introduced earlier this year. And by rejected, I do not mean full blown rejection. I mean, I was apprehensive about AI. I was not really sure that it would fit the way I program. And for some cases that I tried out, especially the earlier versions of GitHub Copilot, for which I got beta access to, at times I was slower with AI. Well, that is again subjective. I was only slower in code bases and frameworks that I was particularly good at. So, for example, building a HTTP server in Go or a CLI tool in Rust, which I'm very, very good at. Uh, I sort of was being slowed down by AI in those cases. However, when it came to, let's say, building up a really quick, really beautifully styled HTML page or a React application for that matter, or even Astro for my website, AI was surprisingly good at it. So I did use ChatGPT at times, even before I embraced the whole AI thing. And after all of this, Copilot, along with TPOP, released a plugin for NeoVim and Vim that I started using, I think in late April or so, and it was a blast. I really enjoyed having that uh, experience in NeoVim. I really loved the autocomplete features that it offered. However, I quit using Copilot after a few months, primarily because after watching a video from a popular YouTuber called The Primogen, I realized that I had what was called an AI pause, where subconsciously I was pausing my writing, my typing to wait for AI to predict what's next. I had sort of stopped my brain stream and instead started relying on the attention mechanism myself, which is pretty funny. Think about where I've stopped and I'm waiting for the next token from the attention mechanism, from the transformer, which I did not like. So I quit using Copilot after a few months, and I tried coding without it, and I didn't really notice a difference. It was hard at first to get rid of the Copilot pause, but it didn't matter to me really very much because along this time I was also using ChatGPT, and it was all right. So this was the phase where I was like, too much AI, just for some time, none at all. However, in the past 3 4 months, I figured out a plan for AI of how to use it, and now I use AI regularly for coding, writing, and many other tasks. This is what I would like to call achieving a zen with AI, just accepting and being okay with it. So let us look into how to do that. So I decided to come up with a few rules of for my AI usage. Uh, those are categorized as below. So first things first, for you to develop your own rules, you're not allowed to copy my rules. AI is usage is subjective, as I'll be proving in some time. However, you can follow along what to do for developing your own rules. So the first thing you need to do is there are three category splits of what AI can do. So uh, there are three. So first thing is tasks that AI can do better than me, tasks that I want to do better than AI in, and three some neutral tasks. So you can already probably tell what the rules are going to be, and what their essence is. However, I would recommend you wait and check out the later slides. So first, let's talk about the importance of stressing that AI is a tool and not a replacement to the human experience. Uh, you are using it. You're not. You don't become apprehensive to AI. Because it's like being apprehensive to a really smart and intelligent code tool. Let's say you being apprehensive about using NeoVim or something like that, because at the end of the day, it is a tool. It does personally affect how you code. Uh, that's the point of it being a tool. But don't get scared of it. You're not, at least for most people watching, I'm sure are not people who make actual executive decisions about AI. So you don't really have to worry about the whole conundrum of AI being a replacement to humans, AI taking over jobs, and all of that stuff. Just look at it in a binary sense. If is AI as a tool useful to you or not? And use it to enhance your workflow, not replace it. I've seen I've seen many videos of people trying to replace their let's say their making of presentation and slides with AI, their whole entire primary code base generation with AI. That's not AI enhancement, that is AI replacement, which is never ideal. So instead, use AI to enhance your workflow. And whenever I am using the hype word AI, what I mean is generative AI that is based on LLMs and also image generation like Midjourney and other diffusion models in general. Next thing is going to sound a little bit cringy, but assert dominance over AI. As in, don't it is a black box to a really good extent. I know there's research being done about studying what really goes in the whole transformer architecture, where facts are stored, where information is processed, all of that. However, really understand that generative AI in itself is not a mystery. It is a really simple model, yet a complex mathematical system that essentially generates what comes next. And once you know how it really works, and if you are interested, I highly recommend you check out 3 Blue 1 Brown's videos on the topic or listen to a few uh, lectures on it. I know open source courseware has good videos on it, and there are many resources, but at least have a brief overview of how generative AI works. So you really know what's wrong if something is not working, and you sort of understand the essence of it and don't become overly reliant on it. Next is match use cases and experiment with AI. Don't just settle on the binary of either using AI or not using AI. Actually experiment with it. Uh, Check if your use cases really match what you expect from AI. That will get into that shortly, following the three categories and rules. That's it. And also, don't be afraid to say no to AI. Stand up towards it. I mean, uh, you're not, you don't need to use it. If you're a better writer without AI, it's okay. Embrace that you're a better writer without AI. And this is quite important because I've seen many people just succumbing to the trend of using the latest code editor featuring AI, the latest web browser featuring AI, the latest everything AI, which is unnecessary. So let's get into the rules, shall we? So first things, identify the tasks that AI can do better than you, i.e. me. So for me, it was whenever there is a new topic that I know nothing about, AI is significantly better than I am. So let's say I'm learning about functional programming languages. I know nothing about it as compared to even the most basic of code models like CodeLlama or GPT or 4o for that matter. So I would use AI in that case. Next is rephrasing. Rephrasing English sentences where it to make it sound professional and corporate or not corporate, that's not an actual word, but more like corporate sounding jargon, official letters, stuff like that. Next is for having an unbiased analysis. Now, I play fast and loose with the word unbiased here because I know a lot of AI models have a lot of bias that goes into their testing phase with humans, so they always have answers that are a certain way. However, there are a few models that do not do that. Like I think there's Mistral and other open source models, so I highly recommend you check them out. Next is writing documentation, which if there is one use case of AI that I'm never going to let go, is writing documentation. It is so much good at it. I do not know how and what goes in the transformer architecture to make this possible, but it's just so good at this. Next are finding the edge cases in code. This is specifically relevant if you're into solving lead code problems and hacker rank problems, lead code problems, stuff like that. If for some reason your test cases are not passing, AI is really good at seeing if there are any edge cases in your code. Next are answers to well-defined questions like let's say explain what is a capacitor, which is a really well-defined question that has multiple sources that the AI has been trained on, and there is a very good chance that the answer that it gives is a really great answer and you can trust on it to to memorize it for your exam. And next is write me a 100-letter essay on the history of the internet. Now, the 100-letter essay is a weird question. It should have been a 100-word essay, but you get the gist. So, what I really want to drive home here is if AI is indeed better than you at some tasks, use that to your advantage. Like, this is where AI really shines. However, the tasks at hand are subjective. Only use AI, and in a case where AI is better at a skill than you, if the task itself matters more than the skill required for the task. So, for example, if I ask AI to write me a 100-letter essay on the history of the internet, and let's say you're an English major or a computer science major, not necessarily computer science, let's say you're just a literature major, AI writing a 100-letter essay, a 100-word essay for you is more detrimental to your skill as a literature major than, let's say, you are an engineer who just wants that to experiment with. So, really weigh the benefits that AI gives you and remember that the tasks that you are providing to the AI are subjective. Next is tasks that I want to do better than AI. So These are tasks that you want to be good at and not be replaceable by AI, because the sad reality, I think, is eventually AI will get good at stuff and will start replacing humans, but at certain tasks. So it's really up to you to decide what skills and tasks do you want to do and be better at than actual artificial intelligence. So at least for me, they were my creative writing. So I do not use Copilot or any such programmer AI tools while writing my blog posts and my articles, my tweets, my any online presence for that matter. I want to get really good at lead code and DSA, so I do not use AI for it. I search up solutions at times from other people, but I do not use generative AI for lead code solutions. Next is coding in general. And what I mean by coding is, I'll get into this deeper in the next section. But what I essentially mean is, I want to have the idea of uh, I want to have the actual ideas and solutions that go into the code, and I do not necessarily care about how that solution is implemented syntax wise. I want to put a stop on this here and pick it up in the next slide. So, next is debugging. I want to be a better debugger than AI, so I'm probably not going to ask it, although that would speed up workflow for lot of people. So, again, these are subjective to me. I want you to decide your own criteria. Next are creative solutions, as I was discussing. In these cases, using AI is actually counterproductive and even counterintuitive. So, AI dependency can actually lead to a lack of creativity, which I've observed. So, uh, this again goes back to the Copilot pause and all of that. So, you do not want to be too dependent on AI generated solutions and code, because, to be honest, about 20 to 30% of the time, they just suck. They are not good tools for most of the more edgy use cases, and I'm sure you understand what I mean and where I'm coming from, but AI dependency is the death of creativity. Next is dependency and help has a really fine line of experience. So, if there is a task that you are pretty good at and you accept help from generative AI, that's called help. However, for something that you have no idea about and are still learning it, you are you're depending on AI. So there's a difference between taking help from AI and depending on AI, which I really want to emphasize here. So if you're a beginner who is learning to code, or a beginner in any language for that matter, AI using it as in your code editor is probably not a good solution or the way to go. Next is, do not let AI take over your creative process. By this, I mean your Figma designing process, your coming up with solutions for lead code process, your HTTP server design. It can be anything. And there are certain tasks in which you need mindful repetition to get good at. And in my case, programming is one of them. So sometimes, although I do use GitHub Copilot for AI completions now, there are times when I really do need mindful repetition to get good at. So keep that in mind as well. Without mindful repetition, there is no chance you get good at programming. Okay, so the next category are neutral tasks. So these are tasks that honestly no one cares about, but I guess they are important. For example, researching a topic. You can do it, you can ask AI, doesn't really matter. Writing documentation, again, it doesn't matter if you do it or AI does it. AI, in fact, does it better than you, but no one's going to judge you if you use AI. Next are writing tests. Objectively, AI is a better tester, but does it really matter? If you're a tester by profession, then yes, probably you would obviously have to be a better quality of tests. You have to come up with better quality of tests than AI itself, but otherwise, I don't think it really matters. Next are get commit messages. For example, I've seen multiple AI tools that just write get commit messages, which is awesome. Quick replies, all of that. Yeah, sure, go ahead, use it or don't use it, doesn't really matter. So these tasks are neutral. AI is relatively good at these tasks. However, so are you. You can use AI to save time, but doesn't really matter at the end of the day. And if you are in this category, I would highly recommend you fact check AI because at times it's not really the best at these jobs. So the next section is, which is I think most important considering my audience is primarily software developers, is AI in programming. And this is a very controversial topic. Ignore the typo there. It's a controversial topic. And but what I really want to emphasize here is that AI is a tool. I.e., you unless you are someone who is actively hiring programmers and actually going into the business aspects of it, you probably need not worry if AI is a good replacement to programmers because uh, at least for the next few years, you are ensured and covered that AI is going to remain a tool. So might as well get good at it and use it. However, there is an objective way at getting good both an AI as well as your programming, which for me at least are these rules, which is yes and no's. So I use AI for code completion. And what I mean by code completion is if I uh, type in func main something, AI will complete fmt.println hello world for me. So that's code completion, which is not that bad. Or if I'm using SQLite in the project and I say func create user, yeah, and start the SQL statement, the AI cannot complete the SQL statement, which is not that big a deal. But then again, it being a big deal or not is again subjective. If you are trying to learn how to use SQL in Go, then don't let AI autocomplete it for you. But if you are working on a huge project in which the SQL part is just a minor hiccup, go for it. Uh, Code documentation, which, as I mentioned previously, is awesome. Next is code analysis. So if I'm in a new code base and I ask what the function does, it gives me a better idea and reduces the amount of time that I need to skim through the code base and understand and make all of those bindings in my head. And next, last but not the least, code refactoring. Now, this again is very subjective. I have noticed that in some languages, Copilot is really good at refactoring, whereas in others, it just sucks. Like JavaScript, for example, it is really good at it, but in Zig or Rust, it it sucks. And I'm sure that's partly because of the amount of training data it has on JavaScript is probably huge because it's one of the world's most used languages. But that's something to consider. Next are big no's. So the big no's for me, the first one is the most important one, which is stay away from code generation. And what I mean by code generation and code gen tools is just heading straight over to chatgpt.com and typing up how to create a React app for a to-do website or something like that, which and I'm sure ChatGPT will give you a really good solution of how to do it and what to do. and how it works, probably, but code generation itself is a big no for me. And along with code generation, this also encompasses using quote unquote AI code editors like Windsurf and Cursor, which have agents and tools that write out a whole starter code base for you, which I highly do not recommend. Next are, as I mentioned, using agents, code agents. Now I know that since uh the actual progress of building better AI models has to reach a cap at some point in the near future, agents are going to be the next big thing because they actually combine the capabilities of different code models, which make them really, really good. But that is still not something I would recommend you use for programming, especially the likes of Windsurf editors or Cursor editors, where the AI not only inits the project for you, but it also runs terminal commands on your behalf. And learning the terminal is such an integral thing that you don't need to offload to AI. And next are code reviews, where I can link you multiple blog posts about AI code reviews going wrong, and AI generating the most weird code. So code reviews probably not that much, but a code review summary, sure, go for it, which again is subjective. So that's how I like to use AI in coding. And some practical solutions that I would like to offer you are first up, if you use NeoVim or VS Code for that matter, try to search for an option where you either get Copilot suggestions uh, in the form of text suggestions rather than it auto completing. And if you're using NeoVim, that means configuring Copilot to work with NIM CMP, so NIM completions, and only trigger it when you feel like it. So use it, use it with intent. Do not just keep pressing tab and hoping it would work. And also, whenever possible, try to use local AI models because first off, the privacy aspect of it, and also that they are generally a good balance, uh, and unbiased balance. So that's a good thing too. So try to use completions, or if you're on VS Code, try to set a higher timeout for when Copilot actually starts thinking of suggestions to give you. So you're mindful of when you're using AI's help. So what this means is you are triggering a transformer process to actually predict your text instead of just accepting the text and AI doing it for the Copilot continuously doing that for you in the background. You're being mindful of when you want the suggestions. And what this does is, first up, it eliminates the Copilot pause because uh, I mean, not it doesn't erase the Copilot pause, but it makes the Copilot pause mindful, i.e., you know you're waiting for Copilot rather than you just waiting there looking at your laptop screen. So, yeah, so that's how I use AI in my coding workflow. Next up is image AI. I do not use image AI generation all that much. I use it a little for wallpapers, I guess. It does do a pretty good job at wallpapers. And whenever I do use it, I always provide attribution to it. But I'm not really qualified to talk about how to use image AI tools. So, but it's still out there. I am sure the same constraints apply. Be mindful of it, I think, but it is just there for the sake of it. So the next up are AI tools that I personally use, which my primary chatbot is a Llama 3 billion model running on Olama. I use a really good application called Alpaca for Linux, which lets me talk to these models locally. And my secondary chatbot is ChatGPT when I feel like Llama 3 is failing, which to be honest, 3 billion is probably not that much. So it does fail most of the times. Not most, but sometimes. And when it does, I just use ChatGPT. And next I have Copilot in Neovim as I was discussing. And I also have Copilot for the shell, which you can do gh Copilot and run a command. I use DALI for image generation and CodeGemma sometimes. And Olama is a really big way I use the models. I nearly use all of the models on Olama, and it's been game changing. So I highly recommend you check it out. I'll probably end up making a tutorial on how to use Olama, but it is pretty good to check out. It has a really good documentation, so you can get started even without a tutorial. So yeah, with that being said, I hope you uh, enjoyed this little talk style video I did. I know I don't generally do these, but let me know if this was fun, and if it was, please let me know in the comments. And what do you think of AI? And how do you use it? Do you have any workflows? It will be interesting to know. So do let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a great one. Bye bye.